on Monday, the 18th of August 2025. Hello and welcome to your daily podcast live on King FM. My name is Alaji Fati, taking you through to this program. That's where I will do a review and preview for you on the papers regarding the daily papers of for you today. And coming up in this edition, race for UDP 2026 presidential candidate opponents. 22 Tuba applicants, including Gambians, killed in accident. Farmers to pay 600,000 down a payment for government tractors. Government denies ECOWAS chairman's visit linked to Barrow's third term bid. And of course, intending programs to Magal convicted for stealing the food. Gambia among countries with the highest prevalence of FGM. Cartoon protests on fair land demarcation. Those are the lead stories on a standard news paper. And for this afternoon, the lead stories Banyan City Council planning director face questions in contracts and payments. Cartoon, we dealt with that one in standard newspaper. 10 plea guilty of the other story here, the magistrate court sentenced Suleiman Jallo for drug possession. GRA digital tax revolution with iTax is very important for the country. So those are your lead stories on Foria. Let's check another newspaper this afternoon, which is the Voice newspaper. President Barrow hands over 180 tractors to farmers. Jajambure MP question government over undelivered tractors to farmers. Ja Oil Boss says Senegal is the biggest protectionist in Africa. So that and many other interesting stories are all coming up in this edition. My name is Alaji Fati, and of course, I'm not alone in the studio because I'm having Seydou Jallo, who is also going to take me with the speed that to talk and discuss on issues affecting students in the country. So we bring Seydou in that perspective. But before he comes in, be reminded you are listening to the daily podcast live to coming to you from King FM. This program comes to you Monday to Thursday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Let's begin our daily podcast roundup this afternoon with standard news paper because the recent very short visit of ECOWAS chairman President Julius Madam Bayo of Sierra Leone, during which even a scheduled press briefing was cancelled, has left tons of weighing on many governments that are the speculation going in other direction, which many are saying perhaps they touched areas that President Barrow did not want to talk. But is that the actual thing or not? Let's find it out. While both Madam Bayo and whose present team Sam said the trip is as part of the chairman's initiative to tour and discuss issues in the region. Many governments are speculating that President Bayo must have raised the issue of a third term limit with his host President Barrow, since the Gambia is among very few countries in the region without term limits for the president. The regional body has been encountering the state to adopt the two-term limits, and with President Barrow aiming to go for third term, the topic is ever more relevant in the Gambia than now. Contact on the ECOWAS chairman's visit information. Minister Dr. Ismail Assise told the Standard that Bayo did not discuss the topic of third term in Banjul. No, the talk between the two leaders did not include anything like that, Dr. Sise also said. Meanwhile, A statement released earlier by the Ministry of Information explained that the visit, say, as part of his regional consultation to following his election as chairman of Authority of Head of States and Government of ECOWAS President Julius Madam Bayo of the Republic of Sierra Leone undertook one-day walking visit to Banjul on Thursday, 14 August 2025. During the visit, the ministry added President Madam Bayo and Barrow held discussions on matters of mutual interest with a particular emphasis on strengthening bilateral cooperation and advancing the ECOWAS agenda for peace, security, and regional integration. President Bayo arrived in Banjul from Guinea-Bissau. The original schedule had anticipated his arrival at 2 p.m. on Thursday with an overnight stay. However, due to undated information from Cape Verde indicating that his counterpart there wished to meet at 3 p.m. President Bayo arrived in Banjul was scheduled to 1 p.m. He departed immediately following his meeting with His Excellency President Adam Barrow in order to protect to Pretoria in time for the scheduled engagement. President Madam Bayo is expected to continue his regional consultation in Senegal following his visit to Cape Verde. The statement also read. Another story on the Standard News paper this afternoon. United Democratic Party (UDP) yesterday announced the opening application for the position of the flag bearer for 2026 presidential election. A statement from the party said that following the decision of the annual executive committee, that is NEC, acting in accordance with Article 11.3b and Article 23.3c of the UDP Constitution. The application process officially opens on Monday, that's today, 18th August 2025, and will close on Tuesday, 2nd September 2025. The election committee will thereafter take the rigorous vetting and consultation process in line with both the 1997 Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia and the prescribed rules of the UDP. The process will accumulated in the official announcement of the UDP presidential flag bearer on Wednesday, 10th September. UDP calls on eligible and interested party members to meet the constitutional and party requirement to submit their application. Very interesting stories there. Now, let's move on the story perhaps that is on everyone's lips. Now, the government of the Gambia has released 180 tractors to the farmers. But how does it all went? Let's take this story from the Standard News paper this afternoon. Farmers wish to purchase tractors provided by the government unveiled a presidential barrow on Saturday will have to pay 600,000 down payment, while government will pay another 600,000 to cover half of the cost of the tractors, which cost $2.4 million. The half will be paid by the farmer through installment, through installment for a period of 4 years. Agriculture Minister Demba Sabali told the Standard that farmers are required to make any collateral to make any payment apart from the 600,000 down payment, as government will instead be guaranteed to complete the rest. The farmers are not required for any physical collateral. However, if they fail to pay during the installment part of the agreement, that the government will withdraw the tractor and reallocate it to another farmer, and the defaulted farmer would forfeit what he or she deposited for defaulting one of the contract These tractors are instrument for growth procure within the framework of proper use. Subsequently, violation of the contract agreement may lead to withdrawal of the equipment or application of their appropriate means to the present one. Farmers, that is one of the farmers, a number of farmers to the Standard News paper already they deposit $600,000. Despite some of them raising concern about the delay in disbursement and promise to take advantage of the scheme, they expand their farming and increase the productivity and income. Basiru Baro from Jambanjel, who grows rice, corn, and vegetables, describe the payment plan as flexible, adding that ample time is given for farmers to be able to repayment. The maximum you can pay is 20,000 amount which a tractor can fetch in a day, which service. For me, this will definitely help because it would be nearly impossible for farmers to purchase tractors on their own. And if this system is not introduced, he thanked the president and government for the gesture. Lamin Kamara, a resident of Sandu in URR, said is optimistic that they would be able to repay within the 4 year period of the tractor. So the government of the Gambia are giving tractors to the national farmers on a credit base that is to be later paid. But now let's go to the coastal village of Khartoum because it wasn't all well for the coastal city in a united stand against what they call an alleged unfair land demarcation. Residents of Khartoum took on the street yesterday demanding justice over a piece of land given to Jamme Kunda family in Gunjur during a recent official demarcation exercise. The protests, comprising youths, the elderly chanted slogans such as "We don't want a civil war," "No to illegal demarcation," "Our land matter," and "No land grabbing," and "No land grabbing." According to Mustafa Mane, a journalist and a native of Khartoum, the issue began when the government made demarcation in a disputed land. We are talking about the challenges that our students face in the country, and he, being a student in the country, that will also help and support us regarding that. So, welcome to the daily podcast. This is the first time that I'm inviting you for the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fati, for welcoming me, and also I honor the invitation to be part of the daily podcast, and also thank to everyone following King FM and also the daily podcast live.
And by the way, as you said, this is the second week of the program.
Well, it's the second week of the program, but then also we welcome also everyone to be joining and also joining their contribution in the program.
Great. We invite you to the program today to talk on a specific issue regarding the challenges, the constant that as a student you face, you go through. Because before we bring expert to talk about that, it's better we bring victims themselves. We talk on issues that is really affecting them, their daily activity going to school. As a student, tell us who is Seydou Diallo and which school are you attending first?
Well, I am Mour Seydou Diallo, a student from Kunda, Opa Senior Secondary School, a grade 10 student. Next year, this year, going to grade 11.
Great, great. So now let's keep the ball rolling. Let's go bit by bit. That is, tell us what are the difficulties that you face as a student, the challenges.
Well, the challenges might be in a variety form. It have to deal with what we call society, social, and also physical and mental emotions, and whereby you have mood swings, also which affects what we call academic career. But then on my personal side, first of all, I would say financial, whereby I face financial stabilities, financial lack of financial support from parents, or either from not having enough financial support to continue my education, which also hinders my performance, because sometimes schools might also call for summer classes, studies, or there will be a particular project coming up. You have to pay for the amount of money to further your project. So these are kind of things. Sometimes I abandon my projects because of lack of financial support. But also when it comes to learning materials, so you should see that I am not sufficient. I'm not having the sufficient learning materials as a student has to do. So I have to manage. So with that manage, and also you don't have the learning materials, you cannot have a quality education, because you will not have something to study at home or to read around, which will at least help your understanding of various topics that you are taught in school.
Okay, all right. Let's take one step backward now. Talking about challenges as a student that you face, let's first start with tuition fees. Yes, sometimes you see students going to school and then the teachers about to start a lesson and they say, "All those who don't pay, please, can you take your bags and go back home?"
Yeah, Fatih, I tell you in front of me, like on last week Thursday, I was in class. I have to talk to the teacher on man to man, one to one. Tell him that this is the kind of a person I am, and at the end of the month, I will see if I can afford it. But then I cannot be sitting at home also, not going to school. So when the teacher came, those who didn't pay their money, please, can you leave? And also they don't want to see them in the school campus. Wow. So we have to help each other. Also teachers also have to look onto various students, because not all can afford the money, but also we have to build what we call understanding between teachers and students. Also as a student, we don't have that kind of financial support. You have to talk to teachers, tell them who you are, tell them this is the person you are, and then you build understanding. So communication is very key when it comes to financial support, whereby you communicate with your teachers, tell them your problem, not all, but then tell them part of your problem, so they will know how to handle you.
Yeah, I agree with you entirely when you come to the communication aspect of it, but the culture of silence in the country, most of the students are people in the country, in schools. So if they have any problem regarding their school fees, even to face the accountant or to go to the principal and talk to the principal, becomes a problem. In as much as they don't pay, they feel reluctant to do anything. If any instruction came from the administration, if they say go home, they just pack and go straight, and then they go and say, "Daddy, mommy, I'm back." They send us because they say those because I don't pay the school fee. So mommy and daddy start scratching their heads again. Sometimes it's difficult. You can understand, but I think in our educational system, we need to revisit and see how these things can be actually modernized, because two things involved. Even if they allow students to shoot for grade 10 or grade 11, at the end of the day, nobody's going to have your documents without paying the school again. So there are many ways that the school administration also can come into it, especially for the government school. But they just are paid by the government. So if students don't have that, they don't pay that particular term, I don't think it's going to drag them home. Allow them to sit for the exam, and then when the results are out, you hope it. Give it to the principal. They will pay for the result.
That's the opinion that you have. Like that's how we should put it. But then coming down to the educational aspect, you made mention of the curriculum itself should be reset and format. Yeah. We are using the old model. What you are taught at grade 3, still now some students are being taught as you are taught. The same curriculum.
Yeah. Really, the syllabus are fine. That's interesting. So maybe we'll have we'll find time to talk on that whatever. So now let's talk about like for instance, you as a student, and then you have a problem with the tuition fee, and then you have about to sit an exam. You know, the administration came and you know, or sometimes it happens in the assembly. Sometimes they go to the class and they stand and start reading names. You know. For me, it's more of a disgracing students. You know, asking them to leave the classroom because of they don't pay school fees. I think the
A
basic
lot can happen there.
they need to cross check that idea.
Yeah, you know, a lot can happen there. You know, me as a side person, for example, I'm a side person. I'm a kind of a person in the classroom. I don't talk, and nobody know me about talking. So when I am sent out, that can at least reduce how people see me in the society. You know, also you might feel disgrace. For some people, also it is normal to them because they believe that education is not the key to success. But anyway, education is the key to success. Education cannot be in the classroom, but also outside. Every day, man is learning. It's about.
Yeah, and then another difficulty is the syllabus. Let's talk about the syllabus. This also is very important because sometimes these students they are having 5 or 6 or 7 subjects in a day, and then the way the syllabus
in the school also is put is also something that also needed to be done. But because of since our time, it has been like probably Monday, math, English, science, something like that. And then before the because of it become if you are absent for a school for 1 week or even for 3 days, you will left behind. That's the way the system is said is very dangerous.
You made mention of the syllabus being old and then we need to reset and format it. But then we also have to calculate format the way we deliver our teaching method, our teachers also, because we don't like to learn theory part and also didn't do the practical side. So this applies to some various subjects whereby it needs more of practical than theory, especially these science subjects. Science students will listening right now will know where I'm talking about because you have chemistry, biology, and others. These courses need what we call the standard science labs whereby you will do your practicals.
Yeah.
So if you are taught theory, maybe for humanities students, that is the art students, there are some subjects that doesn't need, and half of their subject doesn't need a practical side. But also practical is seen, and also practical also will help the students to what to better understand the subject matter that you are talking about as a teacher.
Yeah.
So teachers also should implement what we call must also um, re, um, frequently do what we call a practical side of the subject matter.
So let's talk about another important thing, like the relationship between the students and the teacher. This is something that we
No,
need to talk
for
about.
that, some people will be like, no, I don't have to have a relationship with me, with my teacher is something bad. But see, it's very important.
There has to be a cordial relationship positively.
Positively, yeah, you made mention positively, and I like the way you mentioned it positively because me as a female, I befriend with my teacher a male. We have society, we have people will be like, uh-huh, you are going with Mr. X or Mr. Y. What is in there? Nothing.
Yeah.
It's just a healthy relationship that should exist between a teacher and a student, which is supposed to, in fact, these three people should have a bilateral relationship between them.
Yeah.
The teacher, the parent, and the students. If these three people come together,
Yeah.
they will have a better educational background or educational.
Yeah. And then let me talk a bit on that because of if you are not open to your teachers, or if the teachers are not open to the students, the environment become toxic, and then it become difficult for you guys to understand each other. And in fact, it even become practically impossible for a student to have that patient, sit down, listen to you, and then get the sense of what you are saying. So all these things has to come through this you know more of a teacher students relationship or friendship positively. I mean, for the purpose of education. So because gone all days that the teachers will come to a class, whereas for the whole period, no student will talk to you. The teacher becomes the first Thursday. So that is not a healthy
healthy for
that's,
a
that's,
class.
yeah, that's not a healthy environment. So we want teachers to be more flexible, so that at least even if the student have a stress at home, they can win your mind and then bring you back up speed with what's happening in the classroom. It's very important.
It's very important. But then we'll talk about the next challenge: limited access resources. So many students will agree with me. So many students have what we call limited access to resources.
Yeah.
Resources can be like your books, like my own problem, like
No,
my
in fact, I'm coming to that one because you mentioned of something. Like, for instance, if you are drive at school and then you don't pay your school bills, that means you don't have all the necessary tools for that academic year for your education. And then you cannot be compared with a student who have all the tools. You understand? So now, how difficult is that? You go into grade 11 or grade 12, and then you know that your textbooks are missing. You don't have exercise booked. Let's even not talk about the remittance that you're supposed to be having for your daily activity. But now let's talk about the equipment, the materials itself. Not having the complete set of your educational materials for you. How difficult is that?
Well, I must say, how difficult is that is it affects my education, and also how it affects my education if I'm not having a particular pamphlet for a particular subject. So I cannot read ahead, and reading ahead is one of the healthiest part whereby on education you can do to achieve what we call a better grade in your academic career. So not having this kind of books, or you have limited resources, or these exercise books to keep some notes. So this I find very difficult to have, or to read ahead, or to study ahead ahead of the teacher. And so many teachers says that read ahead. So students like me don't have access to these kind of resources. But then you talk about remittance. For me, I don't just care about remittance. If I have my books, I'm okay. Sometimes I go a whole week without no remittance.
Really?
Go home, yeah. Go empty stomach, sit at the classroom during break. I sit down, remove my book, or go to the library, read, come back. Everybody will be eating, then I'll continue my lessons. If I come back, if I find food, I eat. Or else I go to my friend's compound.
Yeah, then go and open a bank account because immediately after this program, somebody will call you and tell you, give me your account number. I know that.
Ah,
Yes, governments are very good in helping people who, because you have the stuff, you have the qualification, you only need the help. So I know somebody listen to the program who have the financial muscle will really support you to complete your education.
and also,
You are a good, the 11 students speaking like this, right?
but let's talk about overcrowded classroom. It also hinders what we call academic performance. We have so many schools in the Gambia.
Okay, let me ask you, how many people are in your class?
I would say 54.
One classroom.
One classroom, 54.
How many of you see at a table?
Two.
Two. Okay, like each table, two people. So
Two
you have
people,
a
like we
54.
have 54. And
Wow.
that's the maximum. We have classes that are accommodating 84.
One
80,
classroom.
like 80s. I'm a former student from Masro.
Yeah.
So from my former school, my classroom was having 70, 72.
Wow.
So it used to be hard inside, and also understanding me find students like me find it very difficult because a little distraction, I'm already distracted.
Yeah. I think my for me during my school days, I think my highest was 40. If I can remember, was it 35 or yeah, close to 40 anyway? It wasn't up above 40 anyway.
But then I want to urge Ministry of Education to check on the school environment, which has to deal with noisy neighboring communities like these come homes,
Yeah.
especially in the afternoons. People going for the afternoon classes. We have when we are in classroom as students, we hear a lot of noise coming outside the window. So we have some students that their mind are already drift outside, not inside the classroom. So at least Also, schools fields that football fields that are near to the school, which also hinders what we call noise noise interaction between learning and also play. That is very, very important. So let's take a short break and I will be back with you on this program. Welcome back to the daily podcast live on King FM. My name is Alaji Fati, and this program comes to you Monday to Thursday from 1 to 2 p.m. We bring you speed with all the latest that you really need to know about the current affairs of your country, and of course, we go to the other part of the continent too to take you speed with what you really need to know. I was been talking there to. Senior Diallo students, but I will come back to him for the final part of this episode for you for the week. Well, before he comes in, let's do a bit of African roundup to take you speak that what's also happening in our continent because you need to know what is happening in Africa too. As we rightly said, it's our right and responsibility to get the latest stories regarding our country and other part of the world as well. So, in doing that, we do a roundup with DW to see DW Africa to see what they've been doing, putting across for the Africa and the African continent on the stories. The International Organization for Migration, IOM, whose effort is trying to help the people who are deported to come back to their countries of origin in order to reintegrate themselves in the society, doing everything possible to recruit the youths that went to the that went to the illegal migration process are now backed in their country. To realize themselves, to reintegrate themselves in society. But we've lost that podcast. We will take you speed with all that you really need to know regarding the latest of the BBC inquiry, whereas we need to find and tell you the latest regarding how drones are changing the landscape of modern welfare too, because the world is also growing at a speed, whereas in some of the commercial banks, the drones has replaced human beings as a source of human resources. So we have all those stories that are very, very important that you and I need to know. So we will join the BBC inquiry team and then regarding about how drones changing the landscape of a modern world.
problems they've been faced with is that these systems are being jammed routinely by Russian forces, and that Ukraine is also jamming the Russian systems. What's the way to get around this? Well, it's a physical connection you cannot have between your drone operator and the drone itself. And so here we're seeing spools of fiber optic wire that unravel over 10, 20, I think the most I've seen is 60 kilometers, that connect that drone operator to the drone and send these drones armed at the enemy with no way of detecting the signal because it's via a fiber optic cable. These fiber optic cables
I think the internet system is not allowing us to proceed exactly what we intend to do. Now let's go back to Sidhu. Sidhu, the final part of this series, of course, we are talking about the challenges that our students face at their schools, and then of course, we've talked about lack of educational materials, and then of course, the administration not being present with students who could not afford to pay their tuition fees. And we talk about the syllabus as well. Probably ours is outdated, but it's not about only Gambia. There are many ways that we wanted to do this thing. So now, let's look at very important because in Gambia, you see somebody who's going to school from grade 1 up to grade 12, and immediately he have school, he educated with paper without any qualification of a skill. Do you consider that one also something needed to be done in that aspect too? At least, after 12 years in your educational career, when you reach grade 7, you should be introduced to a particular skill that maybe you want to either you want to do electricity, plumbing, carpentry, or whatsoever. But at the end of grade 12, 4 years or 5 years maximum, you can even sustain yourself in a country. We need to have these things in our curriculum system. Do you agree or not first?
Well, I will not quietly agree with you, but then it is sad to say until and unless you subtract 3 years from the 12 years, but then maximum is 15 years education in the Gambia. And also, it's sad to say we have these two kind of people. People that will realize their talent at an early age, and also people that realize their talent after finishing grade 12. But then, no matter the case, life doesn't stop at grade 12 after your grade 12. So anytime you want to start a new skill, you can start it. But then I recommend as a student to start your skills at a very early age, because you might have your skills after grade 12, then you might prosper on your skills than on your educational side. So it's healthy also to start your skills at an early age, maybe grade 7, grade 6. Realize your talent and also go for it. We have some people also that realize their talent, but then afraid to venture in. But also, there's nothing like a smooth way to the journey. It's always risks. Just take the life as a mountain. When you're climbing on the mountain, anywhere on the bottom of the mountain, you reach to the peak. So you start from the bottom, you reach to the peak, and also it's very rough. You might fall down, and also you get bruises. So that's how life is. You met with people with different characters.
Yeah, the reason I brought that skill system to introduce in our education system because of you will see you go to you've completed your grade 12, and then now life after school in Gambia is always tough. Sometimes you don't have job to you don't even have a money to go and further your education. So there are a lot of issues surrounding students immediately after completing the grade 12. You don't even if you have qualification to the university, but you don't have the financial muscle in the family. There are a lot of stress going on. So in other parts of Africa, the more you are introduced to the school, immediately, even in the primary school, probably grade 6 or even grade 5, when you are there, you are introduced to a particular skill job that you'll be doing. It will never going to affect your education, probably tailoring, plumbing, electricity, and all other meaningful, skillful jobs. So before you even reach grade 10, already you become a manager of your own because of somebody you can go to somebody's house and wear the house and they pay you, and even that one you can be paid you because any somebody in Ghana through electricity electrical installation he completed his university by paying himself. So I think those avenues have to be there as well for Gambians.
Like side hustles for students,
for
and
Gambians.
also
We need to have that in our educational system. The government needs to think about those lines.
and we have to break stereotypes in society. Stereotype is talking about what society make us to believe. So in a Gambian society, stereotypes will be they'll be like if you go to school, you finish, you're not going to have job. This is the old stereotype in a society that are put in us. And also let's talk about the glitch. The glitch is also talking about whereby something unexpected happen in your life. So it is meant to happen in your life. So you cannot undo it, you cannot control Z it technically. So you cannot go back and or redo that. So when it's already done, you don't have to go. You just have to learn from that mistakes. But also, let me highlight a very important problem faced by students, which is very essential, and also which is transportation issue.
Yes.
Transportation issue is one of the biggest problem of students. Maybe traveling from moving from one place to another just to go to school. And also we have some students that are also disturb their parents just to see Mr. X or my friend went to the Greater Banjul area. So I have to go from Carnifing to the Greater Banjul area. So you see that this create what we call lot of financial funding, financial funding. You need a lot of financial funding, and also you cannot have at the time as a student because if you're in the afternoon, you go, you come back around 6, you have to wash your uniform, and also you look tired, so you cannot study. So it's just a stress. So go to the nearest school 3 kilometers away from your home. It's okay as a student to go to school, but don't follow me or follow your friend that we are going to another school. So you have to, but also look at your family background to if you are going to another school because it's also very important as a student. You have to calculate what you can afford, also not putting on something that you cannot afford, and also which you cannot continue. And also so many students are lost what we call lack of motivation and direction. They don't have those kind of people that will motivate them. Sometimes they have credit in English, credit in mathematics, and other subjects, but they don't have this kind of people that will encourage them, especially in African homes whereby some of our parents or some of our elders don't know much about education. So if we perform, they will not know. But then, as a student, first motivation should come from yourself, and also motivate yourself. For me, my biggest ally is watching motivational speakers and also write. Writing is my biggest medicine.
All right. I'll come to your hobbies later on before we wrap up this program. But to remind ourselves and our viewers and listeners that they are listening to King FM and King TV, and of course, Urban TV as well, who are also with us to cover this broadcast on their various mediums as well. So, just to remind our listeners regarding top stories in the country today, government deny ECOWAS chairman's visit link to Barros at that time. Story to trying to bring a speed with that article if time permit. That is also going to help and really support us in this one. So, Nyamina applicants process officially opens Monday, 18 August 2025 and will be closed Tuesday, 2nd September 2025. The selection committee will therefore undertake a vetting and consultation process in line with both 1997 Constitution of the Gambia and the prescribed rules of the UP. The process will claim in the official announcement UDP president candidate flag bearer, which is going to be on Wednesday, the 10th of September. You're a student, but I think you also have a little bit idea about how our politics run in the country.